Hello everybody, Antasma the Bat King here, and I will be performing another Antasma Reacts. This time it's going to be Ganondorf vs. Dracula analysis. If you have not seen the actual battle and results as to why the one person won against the other, then please click it in the description below. But if you've already done that and want to watch this for shits and giggles, we can go ahead and get started. 3, 2, 1, go.
Fame may be fleeting, and wealth ephemeral, but true evil never dies.
It just comes back with a goddamn second health bar.
Ganondorf, the calamitous demon king of Princess Zelda's Hyrule.
And Dracula, the everlasting vampire lord of Castlevania. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. Millennia ago, in an age long past, the Demon King Demise threatened to pull the world into blood and war.
Until he got his ass slapped by this pointy-eared boy in green.
Undaunted by being, murdered, Demise cursed the blood of the goddess and the spirit of the hero to be forever haunted by his wrath-made flesh. That curse became Ganondorf Dragmire.
Good old Dorf was born to the Gerudo tribe of the desert. Thing is, the Gerudo were all ladies, and Ganondorf was the first male born in 100 years, which automatically made him their king. Because... reasons, I guess? Wait, so he gets to be in charge and has the best odds on Tinder? That's my dream come true. Who could want more?
Ganondorf could. Jealous of the neighboring kingdom of Hyrule's verdant fields, clean water, and not being a godforsaken desert, he dreamed of a better world for his people.
Or, just for himself. Being the reincarnation of ultimate evil means you're probably kind of a selfish douche.
And surprisingly, his vile ambitions would be rewarded. Turns out, he was also preternaturally adept at magic, as befits an education from his caretakers, the witches Kawume and Kotake.
From them, Dorf learned to pitch balls of electricity, summon lightning, move objects with telekinesis, levitate, form barriers, and control minds. When he wishes to fight from a distance, he can create phantom horsemen or puppets of himself to battle as his proxies. Or if he wants to get personal, he can use his dark magic to enhance his physical strengths, making him a badass at all ranges.
He's a master with a blade, sometimes two, and sometimes on horseback.
And sometimes 2 swords on 2 horsebacks?
Let's not get crazy. He was just a man, after all, though not for long. With his magical training complete, Ganondorf put his greatest skill to the test, his raw cunning. By manipulating the rulers of Hyrule and its neighboring domains, as well as a curiously familiar boy in green.
Hey, what do you know? Weird coincidence.
Ganondorf gained entry to an alternate dimension called the Sacred Realm. Within it lay the Triforce, a magical artifact left by the gods said to grant the wish of whomever touches it.
The perfect solution to all your world-conquering needs. Except once Ganondorf got his hands on those golden Doritos, 2 of them jumped ship.
See, only someone with a perfect balance of courage, wisdom, and power can wield the complete Triforce. If someone with an imbalance between those 3 virtues touches it, it splits. In this case, the pieces of wisdom and courage went to Ganondorf's enemies, Princess Zelda and the hero Link.
That's embarrassing. But he did get to keep the Triforce of power, because who needs the courage and wisdom shit when you can just blow stuff up? That's how I live.
Even on its own, the Triforce of Power radically improved Ganondorf's strength and magical prowess, while also elevating him from a mere warlock to the Demon King he was always meant to be.
Literally, he can turn into a big blue pig monster.
The dark beast known simply as Ganon is a nearly unstoppable terror, gaining even greater strength without sacrificing any of his intellect.
As a bacon wizard, he can obliterate foes with fireballs, turn invisible,
nice
teleport,
one.
summon
Boomstick.
darkness, and
Nice
even
one.
distort the space around him.
Despite all that power and even successfully ruling Hyrule for 7 years, Ganondorf was soundly defeated and sealed within the Sacred Realm. There he remained, trapped outside the spaces of reality, a prisoner to the void between space and time, never to return ever again.
Sorry. I couldn't keep a straight face.
Yeah, no, he got out like the next day.
So nothing holds Ganon back for long, and he's insanely tough to kill. In fact, thanks to his part of the Triforce, he's almost indestructible. While most weapons can technically harm him, it usually takes a holy weapon like the Master Sword or light arrows to put him down.
He once survived being crushed within his own castle, which, based on its size and composition here, and accounting for the hollowed-out interior, should weigh over 11,000 tons.
Even better, he later withstood a different castle exploding around him. Wow, some of this guy in castles.
By measuring the size of the in-game castle model and assuming violent fragmentation, we can determine it was a blast worth almost 2 kilotons of TNT, a yield comparable to early atomic bombs. And even though holy weapons can bypass his defenses, he still survived being stabbed in the face with the Master Sword. You know, the literal blade of evil's bane.
Or like when he was impaled through the chest by one of the sages after he was supposedly sealed away. He just yanked that shit right out and murdered the bastards that did it to him. Heads up, Wiz, you ever stab me again and that's what's happening to you.
Right. Well, Ganondorf isn't just tough. He's powerful enough to punch shockwaves, tear up an island, and block out the sky with his magical malice.
Plus, he can keep up with Link. He's even killed him in one timeline. And this fairy boy can dodge Beamos lasers.
Which are literal lasers. They move in a straight line, burn instead of exploding, and according to the game's guidebook, are called lasers. So they should move at light speed. Based on the distance Link moved relative to this beam, we can estimate his own reaction speed to be about 11% the speed of light.
Too bad old Dorf Lundgren doesn't get to hold on to Hyrule for too long. Still, you can stab and seal him away all you want. This big pork bastard will always be back to bring about your crispy demise.
In the world of Castlevania, the universe is governed by 2 opposing forces, order and chaos.
Hey, it's like you and me, Wiz.
No, I mean literally. As legend goes, for God to be good, there must be an equal force of evil to create balance. An evil found in an alternate dimension called the Chaotic Realm. This is Chaos.
But to keep his spot in the balance on Earth, Chaos needed to choose a Dark Lord to represent him. A Dark Messiah, if you will. As luck would have it, a perfect candidate would end up choosing him.
In the 11th century, Matthias Kronkfeast was the strategic mastermind behind a company of knights, alongside fellow commander and best friend, Leon Belmont.
But as with most bromances, it got screwed up by a homance.
Boomstick, have some tact. His wife died from a horrible illness.
Was it third wheeling? I'm sorry, Wiz, but you can already tell this guy is evil because his name is Math. I mean, I know we use math all the time to do this show, but sometimes one must embrace the darkness to see the light.
Right. Anyway, Matthias' grief was so intense, he swore vengeance on God himself. To achieve his vengeance, Matthias sought the powers of God's polar opposite, chaos.
So he set up an easy 6-step plan. Step 1, pick up a red rock called the Crimson Stone. It'll be important later. Step 2, force death itself to become your personal secretary. Step 3, kill Luigi. Step 4, convince a vampire named Walter to kill Leon's fiancée, cause misery loves company. Step 5, let Leon murder poor Walt and have death shove his soul into that red rock. Step 6, congratulations, you are now a vampire. Good kids, I hope you were paying attention.
From that day forth, Matthias rejected his humanity. He became a vampire and much more. He was the Dark Lord, Dracula.
There have been a lot of different versions of Dracula over the years, but this one isn't your run-of-the-mill, I want to suck your blood type. This Dracula is the avatar of chaos on Earth, the opposite to God. So, like, the devil. He's basically the devil.
He didn't have much time to enjoy his new powers, though, as his former friend Leon swore revenge, a vow which would carry on throughout generations.
But good luck taking down this all-new and improved vampire lord. He's got your standard vampire loadout like blood-sucking, flight, razor-sharp claws, telekinesis, and even tripping balls teleportation.
He He can also exert his influence over all living things, whether it be mind control, body possession, or absorbing the souls and abilities of fallen enemies through his power of dominance.
Oh, like Kirby.
A demonic monster, Kirby.
Right. Kirby. Also, Dracula can shapeshift to his black heart's desire, like into a swarm of bats, a cloud of mist, and a wolf. Oh, I get it. The opposite to God, because he's a dog just like the way Alucard is Dracula backwards. God, I should do science.
He's also a master sorcerer, able to summon fireballs, meteors, and acid blood rain from the sky. Dark Inferno is a huge ball of magma that will fry anything in its path, and he can revitalize himself with another's life energy via soul steel.
Then there's his most powerful attack, a localized nuke of holy magic, the demonic Megiddo.
With all these powers, it's no wonder Europe trembled at his presence for centuries, though perhaps their fears were unfounded.
Yeah, despite being living chaos or whatever, Dracula was sometimes a pretty chill guy. He even got himself married and had a kid. Then again, kids are also the embodiment of chaos.
Sadly, the people of a nearby church grew suspect of his wife, accusing her of witchcraft. So they burned her at the stake, and Dracula swore vengeance upon the god they followed as...
Wait. Did he just get a total repeat of his backstory? Man, this guy can't catch a break.
He was even forced to battle multiple descendants of Belmont, many of whom would actually defeat him.
Well, sort of. Turns out Dracula is a much tougher vampire to kill than lame old Walter.
Even after losing his entire body, Dracula's soul remained tethered to chaos. Thus, he would be resurrected every 100 years.
When he wants to go all out, he can draw from the power of the chaotic realm and transform into one of many, a host of monsters. Like a giant demon bird, a giant demon head, and a giant demon head in a painting that vomits out bats.
Dracula can punch hard enough to rend stone, move quick enough to catch arrows out of thin air, and even warp the fabric of reality itself.
He's tough enough to survive a lightning strike, get blasted by an enormous meteor, and even get crushed under the weight of his fortress, aka the Castlevania.
By measuring the size of Castlevania on the game's official art, we know it should weigh around 2 million tons. Even then, Dracula has regenerated his body from decapitation, a mess of blood, and even full-on disintegration.
So how the hell does he keep getting killed by everyone from Discount Conan to the Ghost of Weeb's Past?
Naturally, with the help of holy weapons, which Dracula is certainly not a fan of.
Also, even when he's turned his body into some misty vape clouds, he keeps his head vulnerable. Because video games.
Or more precisely, his hubris. Dracula's blatant arrogance would lead to his ultimate downfall, allowing his enemies to sever his connection to the chaotic realm and thus end his cycle of resurrections. So instead, he was reincarnated
into a white-haired anime boy with the power of friendship, Soma Cruz, who turned out to be just as powerful as Dracula Classic, like when he dodged beams of light or when he defeated chaos itself.
Dracula's influence and power would never truly end. Even 10,000 years into the future, his bloodline continues to strike terror into the hearts of men. As long as good and evil exist...
Hold up, that's his kid? What the hell happened to him?
No ordinary man can stand up to the incredible force that is the Dark Lord Dracula.
Behold my true form and despair!
All right, the combatants are set, and we've run the data through all possibilities.
But first, all this talk of pigs and bacon has made me hungry for Blue Apron!
And all this talk of Blue Apron is starting to drive me nuts. Anyways, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you thought that this was good. Make sure to check out my other YouTube videos on my channel. Make sure to subscribe to Rooster Teeth. They made the death battle possible. I will see you guys when I see you guys. And as Viger the Magnemite says, and I quote, and as always, Doodles.